Ganesha Om, Ganesha Om. Ganesha Om, Ganesha Om. Ganesha Om, Ganesha Om. Jai, Jai Ganesha. Greetings, this is Stasia Bliss with Bliss in the House. Welcome to another episode. It's been a little while since I've broadcasted, and we've gotten through some major changes and shifts in reality since the August eclipse of 2017. I'm recording this message as we are approaching the fall equinox of 2017, recognizing this is kind of a closure of a specific window that we've been navigating. And I'll tell you, it has been a very intensely elemental time period. The earth has really been speaking in the collective on the earth with floods and fires and giant storms and all kinds of manner earthquakes and all manner of earth movement and the accompanying lot that comes with that. And I've also felt this in my body. I've gone through very fiery, initiatory, kind of burning sensations in me this summer, followed by a lot of twirling and whirling and, decisions that go back and forth and back and forth. And I kind of felt like my life spinning around and then finally kind of starting to land in some new grounding, but feeling my foundations sort of cracking and breaking. And so in that way, my life, and many of you have been sharing similar stories, my life is seeming to be reflecting or the microcosm of what's happening in the bigger picture. So I wanted to talk about that a little today and maybe where this is all possibly going and what to do with these sensations and how we can move forward in this time with as much grace and awareness as possible. Because let's face it, the earth is waking up, humanity is waking up, and a lot of things exposed that maybe we haven't necessarily liked to see, but knowing that those things which are left unexposed just fester under the skin of reality and cause problems in the deeper field. So I'm going to relate a lot in this episode about our personal field and the collective field, and what happens when we choose to awaken or we choose to walk through initiations voluntarily, and we choose to do the personal work, and we choose to allow our hearts to open, and we move with that process, and how that looks physically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually in our own lives, and how that can also be the same process that's happening on a global scale and how that looks globally. So let's begin with the idea of the heart awakening, because I think this is the initial turning point in reality when we move from a logical head, factual, very masculine view of reality. It's very linear. It's very in the head. This is how things have gone. This is how they should go. This makes sense. This doesn't. All the facts point here. Using a lot of logic to navigate reality, which has been largely true. This is how we've set up, commerce and democracy and all of the education system. Even though it may not be based on sound logic, it has been based on maybe the unawakened mind. So as the mind awakens and begins to act a little bit more like inquisitive of reality and of the life that we've created, because this is kind of what happens, we start to question, why is my life like this? For me, I was raised in a very strict spiritual religious family, and at a certain age, I was 21, I had been married into the church, and I kind of saw the trajectory that I'd put myself on in my life, in my reality. And I took a minute, and I remember my mind sort of waking up and saying, whoa, this is where this is going on this path. Is this what you want to do? And that was kind of the cue to my big awakening journey. And so for the past 22 years, it has been a journey into my heart, but also through all of the other major vital centers and what they represent in consciousness, having an awakening around, let's look at the first chakra. What happens in the first chakra? This is in the pelvic floor. This is our idea about foundations. This is our idea about money, security, safety, very much forward movement or not, or planting our feet in the ground. It's red, it's initiatory, it's associated with Ganesha, which I just wrote an article about. I can't wait to get that published because I really love how the series is turning out. And I'll let you know when I have that link. But Ganesha is the part of our consciousness that represents new beginnings and bringing thought fields into manifest form. So the first chakra is where we interact with physicality. And so when we begin to awaken, we start to juxtapose our consciousness with our reality. We start to question our foundational structures, what we've been taught, how we've been living, where we're living, how we're getting supported, if we're feeling supported, where's the money coming from, all these sorts of things. Do we trust the universe to provide, or do we feel like we are the ones providing? And this happens on a personal level. I feel, it's one of the first things that causes a reflection and maybe life changes is because, this is associated with often a midlife crisis, but it's really associated with the Kundalini Awakening. So when the Kundalini awakens, it's in the root, it starts to shake up that center, open it up, it's earth element. And so we start to reflect on those things and ponder those questions. Then we move into a very karmic cycle where we begin to look at all the patterns that have been handed to us, what we're acting out, what our ideas and feelings about sexuality are, anything that provides satisfaction or passion or thrill. All these things begin to be brought up in our mind. We might explore more, we might experience. We want to figure out what makes us truly feel satisfied, what our persuasions are, and then we also have the big mire of karma and what our ancestors have passed along. So when we awaken through that center, which is water, it's sometimes we can feel like we're drowning in that stuff. And then the third center is the fire center, is Manipur in the belly. It's very much about how we digest our reality, how we digest our food, how we assimilate, our reality, our ideas, our experiences, and we kind of are learning to burn away that which is indigestible and not assimilable, and to really refine based on what feels good in the belly. So we've also been experiencing these three elements widespread on a mass scale. And so that's where I feel like we've come to the heart element, air, which is the breath, which is prana, which is life force. It is love. It is heart connection. It is unconditional love and compassion. This is being ignited, and of course we've been experiencing strong winds with the hurricanes, but it's causing this heart awakening, which makes us, even if we've gone through these specific awakenings that I've just spoken about, now mass consciousness is going through this as well, and it's creating a little instability in the foundation. It's actually going back through and kind of cracking through any of the old paradigms that we haven't transcended, and it's bringing us into a place to re-examine what our connection is with reality, what happens when we move it to the spiritual and we take attention to the throat. We start speaking our personal truths to each other. We're honest, we're transparent, we start revealing the underlying stuff behind everything that's going on in the reality, until we then can come into a place where we are in the observer attitude, which is kind of where we're being asked to move right now, because in order to really transfer to another dimension, so to speak, and see the earth in a different way, we need to come from an open third eye center, which to some people can seem like you're cavalier or unkind or uncaring or too detached. But what's really happening is you're starting to disengage from the dream and see it for what it is, and realize that you are the dreamer and you are the cause and you are the one life, and all these seemingly external tragedies or movements or shifts are really an external manifestation of what's been going on in you all this time. And now it is the time to integrate the polarities to see that all is really one. This is less about making a choice and more about being with what is, with as much awareness as possible, with as much love, compassion, but with also a detached awareness. It's addressing all of the things that flow through your experiences and doing so with a higher mind. So as we come into this time just before the equinox, I am really suggesting and hoping that everyone can know that we're kind of moving into a place of, I have to say, crown chakra awareness. We are coming to the crown jewel of this time period, of this year. And as we move into the place where equality reigns, even just for a moment, during the equinox, it's like that is the place of the scales balancing. We move into Libra, and Jupiter is moved into Libra for the next 13 months, starting yesterday. So we have this grand opportunity for expansion in the areas of balance and harmony. And the first challenge is to hold that in our body, to see that reflected in our life. And as we do that, we realize that we are the cause, and that is the first impetus for balance being known and experienced on this earth plane, in this reality. So I am excited to see how that begins to play out in my life and in the world around us. I know a lot of relationship pieces are snapping together at this time as we're opening new portals for creation, for unity consciousness, for oneness, for a feeling of family returning to the earth and unifying where we have been before separate. So, with that in mind, I say thank you for joining me, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these as we move into the equinox. I'm beginning a 6, 9, and 12-week journey with me if you're interested in exploring more deeply how to embody this new energy. I'm calling these my priest and priestess process or journey, where you're learning to truly embody the spiritual priestess self. This is geared largely toward the sisters, though if you're with a priestess, I also have a package geared toward the masculine, in how to really work with your body, with your environment in this new world energy, anchor it in so you become truly sovereign in your own reality, in your own sector of the world, and how to now start influencing the grid that you live in order to bring a more connected and evolutionary experience with those around you. So working directly with the grid, working directly with the grid through the body, through altars, through intention and spoken word. And if you're interested, there's a few spots I have left to do this. I'm excited for those who are embarking on this journey with me, and more to come. So, thank you for joining me. This is Stasia Bliss. If you want to know any more about what I'm doing, I am revamping my website, but it's still blissinthehouse.com, or you can find me on Facebook. And have a wonderful day. Om Shri Ganesha. New projects beginning, blessing the journey in alignment with the one life. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.